Welcome to this episode of the Signal 50 podcast, episode 19, with your hosts Alpha and Bravo. What did we decide to call tonight's show? 2020 is just a train wreck?
It's a pile up on the 40. It's not ending.
No idea. It just doesn't stop, does it?
No, it doesn't. But anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. It's great to hear you. I know you've been busy this week. We lost Delta to an assignment that he had to commence for his job, being average Americans with jobs and not being able to show our faces because of the cancel culture that's going on in this world. We are unable to do anything but work sometimes, right? Alpha, we just don't have a choice.
It just doesn't stop.
Never ends.
It never ends. It doesn't stop. I have not stopped working through the entire COVID thing. There was a very short period of time where they rotated us through the office and just kept down the attendance in the building, and we're doing some things for distancing while we're in the office because apparently the incident of testing and fruit positive has spiked here in this area. We'll get into that and what we mean here. Sometimes we give Florida Man a hard time because Florida Man usually deserves a hard time, but in this case, I think Florida Man's doing okay. What do you think?
Florida Man, help the audience here. Florida, you mean president?
No, Florida Man.
Or no?
No, it's just Florida Man does this, Florida Man does that. It's just a humorous thing in the news all the time because Florida Man,
God, yes.
There's a Twitter page called Florida Man. It's really hilarious.
I didn't, I got off Twitter and I canceled Facebook. I said, Zuckerberg, you suck, and what you're doing with the election even makes me more angry when I'm hearing about the amount of money he's throwing. But I get what you're saying about the Florida Man. Twitter is dead to me. So,
well, look, I use Twitter to yell at politicians. I mean, that's all I do with it. But today was a tough day. Sunday, spent some time with an old friend of mine who lost his father for a little while today. But in between that, I had to get right back to the office. And some of us do have those day jobs that are not 9 to 5 or union, and we just wind up working all the time. And it's kind of tough, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Bravo, I'm just going to tell you, I've sworn off all media. I have sworn off the news. I'm reading print media. I'm reading the Epoch Times. I'm paying attention to a very few sources of information. It's just become just too much to deal with.
I'm right there with you. I do not pay attention to Facebook anymore. And censoring. I do have the ability to sign on to YouTube to watch some videos. As Rumble is getting going, I still love Rumble. It's just it doesn't work as slick as YouTube does.
It's just not there yet.
Correct. It's there. If it had a live stream, we'd be there. I get it. Our numbers are going bonkers on Rumble, just so you know, Alpha. We are at 270. I think it was 271, which I thought was kind of ironic because that's the number we're all waiting for President Trump to reach in the Electoral College. Or we're going to have to switch over to the Congress to let them vote with one vote as we get closer. We'll talk about that in a second.
They'll all get COVID on that day.
That's right. Everyone's going to get COVID. But in terms of our numbers on Rumble, everyone watches the videos and we get a bunch of Rumbles. It's great. But it doesn't work as slick as YouTube. And I watch a lot of the channels. I have some standbys. I watch Dr. Steve Turley. I watch Dan Bongino's on Rumble when he releases them. I watch, there's this Red X Audio, very good channel, talks about the news, does a great analysis. I've discovered his it's just him talking with a still, kind of similar to what we do. You don't know his name, but he has a lot of sources and makes a lot of sense, kind of like we do. So I listen to a lot of what he's talking about. But yeah, then I'm not paying attention to Fox News. I won't watch it. I love Judge Jean. I really do. It's just that she's on the wrong channel.
Well, it's become the wrong channel. Hey, listen, while we're on the subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, YouTube is okay. Look, I know they're throttling people, and I know that they're
throttling us.
They're throttling. Well, yeah, they certainly are. Yeah, you can't even find us. But I got to say one thing about YouTube, and we always want to look at some of the bright sides of the world. It is really cool to be able to log on to YouTube, and there are certain people out there that do a lot of really neat things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they let you into their lives, and they're just so funny.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people out there. I've come across some of the coolest things. I've learned some of the coolest things on YouTube. Look, it's not a perfect world. I get it. I'll say something. Look, it's a private platform. It's it is what it is, right? We can't love it.
They do hide behind it, though. They do hide behind it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah. They've crossed some lines here, but let's take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We know who they are. Now we know how to deal with them. It's a good friend of mine says, understand the rules of the game. Play by the rules and win the game. Okay, so we understand what the rules of the game are. So we're just going around them and we're doing our own thing, which is fine. I want to give a shout out to a couple people on YouTube that, I hope people listen to this, and I really hope that if they want to do something other than politics and they want to see some really cool things and some really creative people, there's a guy, he runs a YouTube channel. His name is Zach Johnson. Okay. He is a millennial age guy. He lives out near Hutchinson, Minnesota. He runs a family farm. His YouTube channel is called The Millennial Farmer. Super clever guy, goes through all the inner workings of the farming life and shares his family life with you. He's really super smart, very clever, and he learned how to do the YouTube thing. And he's got a podcast called Off the Husk. It's not as PG as his YouTube channel. It's a bunch of farmers talking about things, and they're really cool people. Mm-hmm. They're salt of the earth folks from out there from Minnesota doing good stuff, right? The kid flies the American flag on all of his equipment, and he's a cool dude. If you really want to be entertained by somebody like that, something completely different, go over and give him a try. And there's this other channel. It might not be for everybody's cup of tea. An engineer guy, his channel's AVE. Nobody's ever seen his face. Nobody knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Most brilliant human being I think I've ever encountered in my entire life. There's nothing he doesn't know, nothing he doesn't know how to do, nothing he doesn't know how to fix, nothing he doesn't know about electronics, plumbing, mechanics, you name it. This guy is unbelievable. And here's the kicker. He's hilarious. I mean, gut laugh hilarious. So, if you're looking for something completely different, go out there and give those guys a try. Please. They're good people. They're funny. It is what I think America should be. People out there doing really good things, sharing their lives. It's really cool. So, enough of that. Moving on. So we have a lot to talk about, right?
We do. There is always a lot to talk about. Although,
yeah,
it seems like once we start talking about it, something changes. Very quickly, there was a parlay that came out today that Mayor Giuliani tested positive for COVID, which
so did the banana he had for breakfast.
I know, and the bananas. But whether or not I hope he's feeling well. He was looking. He was like pretty tired, and I hope he'll get the treatment. He'll be back. And Ms. Ellis will be running the show for a little bit. But, when you get these tests, it can be devastating because you have to quarantine for 10 days and everyone's life ends. And then it turns into oh my God, another COVID case. And oh my God, and everyone just has to take two steps backwards and say, "Hey, slow down." Right?
Let's bring it a little personal. I have a relative, a school age relative. He's out in somewhere, and one of the kids in his class that he sits across the classroom from popped positive on a test. Right, so everybody through contact tracing that came in any kind of contact with this kid got booted out of school for 2 weeks. So he gets to miss the orchestra concert that he's been practicing for. He gets to miss all of the things and all of the final exams and the exam prep for the semester exams, and it's really hitting this kid hard, and it sucks.
Yep, and it's hitting kids that I know in terms of the amount of stress that it's causing children, and not being able to go to school or not being able to be with their friends. It's really bringing everyone down, and it's turning out that this. Call me. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I can tell you it's not. This test is really not all it's cracked up to be. Even the PCR test, which we thought was so original and so accurate. There was a recent article, and it's been running around Parler. And I'm going to bring up just the screenshot here from the doc that was doing it here. There we go. So Dr. Tempany, Sherry Tempany, passed on this information about COVID. That the test, the PCR test, which is supposed to be the most accurate, and we'll talk about the rotation test very briefly, but anything higher than 37 times they run this test to see if it's there turns out to be a false positive, which means the test is negative. You don't have the virus. And you can't really culture the virus. It's not going to be alive. It's just the particles. So the test is going to say, oh, you have it. But what they're determining is that the stuff that you have doesn't do anything. It doesn't cause disease. It's just there. The body will clean it up, throw it out in your poo, or throw it out in your urine, and it'll be the end of it. So it's, I'm telling you, this is pretty amazing stuff. So the little bit of background with the test, there's a lawsuit going on in Germany where they're alleging that the makers of the test used not the real virus, but a model provided to the company in the United States to make the test. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alpha, but this is the way I have it. That the test was utilizing a model provided by the Chinese, who are oh so trustworthy. Am I correct? They're so trustworthy. We should really just drop what we're doing and believe everything they say. Right?
Well, hold on a second. So basically what this boils down to is you're building a test based upon what somebody else says something looks like instead of what it actually is.
That's right. They never had the actual virus to use. And they found out when they ran this test in Germany, they said, hey, this test, let's run it on some sheep and run it on a piece of fruit. Both of those things had COVID. So it turns out that this test is not all it's cracked up to be. Florida and Governor DeSantis, God bless him, is saying the number of times you cycle through this test, the more times you do it, the more likely it's going to be positive, but it's not going to mean squadouche. So in other words, you get the sample, you throw it in the machine in this PCR test, which is the most accurate. You can determine all kinds of things, and we won't bore you with the details, but you throw the sample in the test, and if it runs a couple of times, through its process, and finds that you have a virus, the likelihood of you having enough virus present is pretty high because it picked it up very quickly. What they've been doing is they've been running this test until they find COVID in the samples, so that people must then be told they're positive, and typically they're asymptomatic. They don't have disease.
Well, wait a minute.
But it's destroying the economy. It's BS. I've had.
All right. Yeah. Well, it's ask the question enough times and you get the answer that you want.
That's correct.
Okay. So layman's terms here. You ask the question enough times, you get the answer that you want, right?
Yep.
So we've been sold a bill of goods, and there's a governor out on the East Coast in, I think it's Maryland. His name is Larry Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Larry spent $9 million on some tests from, where were they from? They were from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
He buys them from Korea, and it was very curious. Buys them from Korea, and we didn't have the lab equipment here in the United States to go ahead and read those tests. So they had to spend another whole passel full of money to go ahead and get the equipment to read the tests.
Mm-hmm.
There's a large, and this is something that he stands on the moral high ground because I went out and I bought all these tests, blah, 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 blah. They don't work.
Mm.
They don't work. And we spent $9 million on the base tests, plus probably another $4 or $5 million on testing equipment that doesn't work. So thanks a lot, Larry. You're awesome.
We appreciate everything you're doing. You
are awesome. You should just go sit down somewhere now and be quiet.
Get out of the way.
Right. So, you got all sorts of things going on here. You've got Rudy Giuliani popping positive for on a COVID test. Probably a really bad time. He may or may not be sick. We hope he gets better. And you know what really, really burned my biscuits? I was on Twitter, and people are going after him like, I hope you die and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, wait, stop now. Okay. All right. Stop. That's just evil.
It is. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely
evil.
Ridiculous. And I'll be honest with you, Alpha, it's getting to the point now where people are finally wisening up and they're really starting to take a listen to what's coming out and call it by design, call it whatever you want. It is, people are not taking it anymore. You are having, I encourage everyone to go on to Rumble, look for this woman that lives in California who is basically, showing her frustration, showing her basically her disgust with what she's done to try and keep her business afloat and running. And her tables are 7 feet apart and did everything California told her to do, and comes in to basically open up against the ridiculousness of Garcetti, who's the mayor, supposed mayor out in Los Angeles, and turns around and there's a truck that moves out of the way and there's a set. I guess the movie stars, they have their tables and everything all set to do the shoot, for what was going on. And if you think about it, we were talking about this last week, Alpha. We talked about how many people it takes in terms of why is it that these people can go out and protest, or the governors can go out and have dinner in these fancy schmancy restaurants, and everyone else can have a Thanksgiving as long as you're in the right group. And you can protest if you're Antifa, or you can celebrate because supposedly Biden won the presidency, which he didn't. They can all celebrate, but when it comes to us in a different group, if you don't belong to that group, you're not allowed to open your business. You're not allowed to provide for yourselves. You're not allowed to express your views. People are getting sick of it. People are rising up, and they're taking care of business and doing what needs to be done. People are being arrested for opening their businesses. And when this is all said and done, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits going towards these cities and towns and people that are trying to prove a point that they know better because they're the government, are going to find themselves in a lot of trouble.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's going to take civil disobedience on a mass scale to end this nonsense and this crap. I went out to lunch on Friday. I had a few minutes and I walked down to go support my local business and walk in with my diaper on my face and to order. Well, people were sitting at tables without diapers on their face, which is just insanity. Anyhow, there was a police sergeant from the county police department here, not a sheriff, county police. And he was sitting there and I was looking over at him, and I've seen this guy around. I've been haunting that area for quite some number of years. And I know all the people, places, and the things they do, generally speaking, because you just bump into people on a day to day. I look over at him and he's kind of hunched over. Usually this guy's a pretty happy dude. And I look over at him and he just had this look on his face. I'd never really talked to him before. And I looked over at him and I'm like, "Hey, Sarge, you okay?" He looks at me and says, "No, I'm not okay." I'm like, "Oh, Oh, okay, here we go. I'm like, what's going on? Are you all right? I mean, is everything okay? What's happening? You want to talk about it? And he's like, these politicians have no idea what they're doing to people. He says, we're being asked to do things that are so unconstitutional. I can't anymore. He says, I have my 25. I have my 25 in. I'm putting my papers in. I'm getting out of this. I can't do this anymore. And I said, well, good for you. I worry about you guys every day. I said, I think something's coming in this country that nobody really wants to talk about. He says, oh, the revolution? Yeah, it's coming. We know it's coming. Yeah, and we're scared to death. So this is coming from a 25-year veteran of a county police department near our nation's capital. And he's not exaggerating, and he looks like hell. He's tired, and he's had it with the county executives and everybody that are in control of the county government. And I'm just talking with him, and he says, "Look," he said, "this is all out of control. This is going to get really bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's going to get really bad. Keep your chin up, dude. Retire. Go be happy somewhere." And he's going to do that. And a lot of guys are opting out, and they're getting out of it. And the big takeaway was he's very upset, and here's why he's upset. The county sheriffs have started serving massive numbers of evictions from residences, either foreclosures or rental evictions. And I said, that's really horrible. And he said, yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible time of year. This is just not good timing for anybody. He said, this has been made horrible. And I said, well, how many evictions is the sheriff's department planning on serving? He said, 40,000 in this county alone.
40,000?
40,000.
My God.
Yeah. 40,000 families are going to be on the street as of January 1st. What do you say to that?
There's nothing you can't say.
I just told them, I said, look, man, I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers, dude. Do the right thing, retire. And I told them, I said, you tell the young gamers out there, the young cops, before you leave, you're a 25-year veteran, Sarge. You pull them aside and you tell them that there are certain people out there amongst us that walk amongst you that are supportive of you, and we're here to help you. But, tell them to, keep that in mind. And he's like, you know what? I will. He says, I'm going to retire really soon. I said, good. Get out. Go. But 40,000 evictions in one county.
You know what really burns me up, knowing that, and it's now been shown that Queen Pelosi purposely did not allow anything to go through because it would give President Trump a win. They made it darn near impossible, or they just wouldn't do it. If they couldn't get what they wanted, no one's going to get anything. And they basically didn't care that who they're going to hurt. And they continue with these lockdowns to continue this false narrative to where people need to suffer because everyone has to be made to suffer because we're not winning and we know better than you do for what you need. It is disgusting.
Well, wait a minute.
Absolutely disgusting.
Democrats just don't want to win. They want to punish.
That too. Well, I mean, forget winning. They think they won. They didn't. They're getting called to the carpet. They're saying, no, it's not true. It's not true. I mean, it's got to come down to the point of this. You either submit and do what we say, or you're going to do it anyway, and there's no recourse because we control everything, and that's what their narrative and message is. I can tell you from my own experience, from my own knowledge, people are not going to take it anymore. They're not going to do it. And here, the example I have to provide to everyone is this one right here. Yesterday, the president went down to rally for Purdue and Loeffler Kelly Loeffler, to encourage everyone to vote. This is off of Dinesh D'Souza's Rumble account. And basically, he kind of was putting his toe, he was trying to get everyone to see the importance of voting for these two senators who really haven't come out, and they're riding the coattails of the president. So they're not really getting anything out of this. But they're riding the coattails of the president. They wouldn't come out and say there's something going on and demand the governor do something. However, the president, during his speech, did demand that the governor do something, talked about the Secretary of State, who is a nothing burger, Rathenberger, that's how I call him, nothing burger, who doesn't do his job, and basically was advised, and everyone, you can hear the crowd, they're saying stop the steal. And when Perdue got up to talk, it was very uncomfortable for him. I was watching this. It was uncomfortable for him because he was not able to get over the crowd where they're demanding that he do something. Now, when you talk to a lot of people, we can't let the Senate fall into the hands of the Republicans, or excuse me, the Democrats. I know that's like a Freudian slip, right? We can't let it get into the Democrats. However, the Republicans are really not showing their true colors either, because in a recent survey of all the Republicans in the legislative branch, there were 27 as of today that basically said Trump lost, move on. So they're considered the rhinos. They don't, they consider themselves Republicans, but like the Susan Collins and everyone else. Two Republicans said, who said that Trump won and should continue fighting. The number that really disturbs me, Alpha, is the fact that 222 Republicans are sitting on the fence with the fence posts up their rectal orifices, not wanting to make a decision. And they all won off the coattails of the president, and they're not backing him when he needs it the most. Now, the people, the Patriots, are all on board with this. They all understand how important it is for us to back the president and for the president to prevail and to fight. And we said this in the beginning, in the first day after the election. Alpha and I said, if the president lost fair and square, we'd grin and bear it, and we'd fight to live for another, fight to vote another day. The evidence is coming out in pretty.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Let me interrupt you here for a quick second. Yeah. Let me interrupt you for a quick second here. Okay, so let's take the notion. Let's carry that forward. Let's talk about voting.
Mm-hmm.
Your vote doesn't mean shit.
I can show you why it doesn't mean shit. Watch this. Here. In the cries from, this is from Georgia, and the cries that there's no evidence whatsoever, right? The presidency hasn't done anything. That one senator by the name of Senator Parent, all right, she was a Democrat. She's a Democrat. Didn't want to hear anything because she knew better. There's actually pictures of her floating around counting votes. I'd love to see if that's true or not. But anyway, 2,506 felons illegally voted. 66,248 under the age of 18. Last time I checked, you have to be 18 to vote. Right there, Alpha?
In a presidential election. In a federal election, yes.
Yep. So 66,000. Well, what's the spread in Georgia right now? 10,000. I think they can throw those out. Yep. 2,423 weren't registered at all in how they vote. I don't know. This mail-in ballot is BS. You have 1,043 used a P.O. box. Again, illegal. You don't live in a P.O. box. You live on a street with a house, not somewhere else. 4,926 votes were past the registration date. 10,315 dead before the election. They're dead voters. Great. 395 voted in 2 states. When you think one's not good enough or your vote's not going to really work.
Illegal in both states.
That's illegal in both states. Exactly, my friend. 15,700 moved out of the state before the election. I'm just going to vote there because my vote's going to make a difference. Or they stole it someone stole it. Who knows?
Or
40,000.
somebody else voted on their behalf.
Which I think is more likely.
Yes, it is
and then 40,279 changes the county and didn't re-register to vote. What the hell is going on? That's the problem.
Okay, so wait a minute. This has been Judicial Watch's cry for the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Clean the voter rolls, okay? And they refuse to do it. Why? Here you go. This is all part of their plan. This has been their plan for a long time. And they pulled it off, I guess. The Dominion voting machines didn't pick up on the landslide that was about to happen. They were monkeying with the algorithm, shifting votes, pulling people into rooms, kicking people out, suitcases full of ballots where they estimate 4 suitcases with 6,000 ballots each were shoved through the machines. With
no one watching.
With
no one
watching. Yeah, except
during a water main break.
Yeah, it was a leaky toilet. Yeah, they forgot that there were cameras in there. Oops. So I would say there's plenty of evidence to say, "Ich ein Minuten bitte."
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Now, just for grins here. Now, again, it seems like Georgia, Wisconsin, Nevada-ish. I don't know. It's kind of hard with the governor there. He's a wishy-washy pain in the neck. Arizona seems to be maybe, but at least Michigan, Wisconsin, and Georgia, the legislatures are making a lot of noise, and that they're probably, and they don't really need they need an invitation from the governor, I guess, or to enact a session, which is not true. They just said that's not true. Giuliani's team said all they got to do is it's separate and it's granted by the Constitution for them to do what they need to do to validate the vote. Pennsylvania, on the other hand, you're running into a lot of career politicians that say a lot but don't do anything. The colonel is running up against the wall because the rest of the body doesn't want to do anything. So we'll have to see. But you want evidence? There's your evidence.
Yeah, don't tell me there's no evidence of voter fraud out there. I mean, it's been rampant, and Pennsylvania is kind of the same situation, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just say that there was voter fraud. This has to go to the Supreme Court, and then it's got to go to Congress for their vote. Okay, so everybody knows about it. We're telling everybody, we're preaching to the choir. We're in our own echo chamber here. Let's talk about what this really means as just a regular dude. Okay. Okay. You remember how I said, and you agreed with me, that this means your vote doesn't mean shit.
That's correct.
Your vote doesn't mean shit, which means that there are certain people that are pulling the strings on our government and have always pulled the strings on our government.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is they're playing Monopoly with your money.
Because they know better, supposedly.
That's right. And these people, all they want is power and control. So we have a problem in this country. We're screwed. If we can't get this right, we're a banana republic.
Some people would already say. And
we're a banana republic.
And the plan was to cause enough chaos so that you would find what Georgia's circumstances are right now with a runoff with 2 senators at once. It's usually not like this, but I don't know how that happened. But Georgia, people are fed up and they're not going to show up to vote, which is that's a double-edged sword. I understand what they're saying, but they got to get out there and vote, keep the Senate at least in the Republican column. Because if everything comes to the end and Biden still gets inaugurated, which I don't want to even think that, then people really need to, we need to have some kind of fail-safe. Because the Green New Deal is getting shoved down our throat, high taxes, they're going to be messing around with zoning in your neighborhood. Just get ready. But so that's the one avenue is the legislature. One other avenue that we do have, and I wanted to share this with everyone. So Alito, Justice Alito, basically told Pennsylvania, you need to move up your briefs and get your stuff in by tomorrow, I believe it is. There was some thought amongst the Democrats that if it hit December 9th, that the safe harbor, the whole idea of certifying their votes, it would just get blown past and the court wouldn't have anything to say about it. Well, guess what's happening? Justice Alito tells Pennsylvania this mail-in ballot stuff is completely out of hand, and there's indications all over the place that it is going to the Supreme Court, and this may be the keystone event.
Yes, it will be. Pennsylvania is the key to everything.
That's correct. Now, what happens is they hear the case, and they have constitutional ground. I mean, they didn't change the Constitution. They didn't follow the rules. They didn't follow due process. That's something we talked about right when this thing started. You got to follow the due process. But what happens is mail-in voting, the way it was set up, was not constitutional. It all falls, not only in Pennsylvania, but everywhere else, because it's just not the way that it's supposed to work.
Yeah, now the problem becomes they've intermingled all the votes, and it'll be impossible to pull it apart. And there's no time to pull it apart
for the presidency. Now, again, let's split the hairs here because it needs to be done. For the presidency and the Electoral College, there's a safety step. It goes to the Congress. Everyone gets one vote, and they votes. The senators, the representatives, the local elections. I think there's going to need to be a redo, and everything's going to have to be redone because this vote everywhere in the country, everywhere, it can't be done.
Show up
unless they can prove. That's right. So, it's a lot of what ifs, and we don't know, and God only knows. But the funny thing is, people are starting to pay attention. No one's discounting the people that are coming forward, and we have people who are testifying, being challenged by their own representatives. Well, how do you know this is true, or why is this, or why didn't you get?
Well,
this one woman,
because I saw it with my own two eyes. And that's why.
And they're talking about how, and there's a human side of this. Lives are being destroyed. They're being shunned by their families. They have to change their phone numbers because they're being threatened, and there's no recourse at all, except for the fact that they have laurels and they have principles, and this is what these people are standing up for. So let me just tell you, this isn't over. We need to hold the line here and stand up for what we believe in and let the process keep going. Well, it's going to get interesting.
What I think is really interesting is there was a young lady in Michigan. She was getting just absolutely flambéed by this representative, and her retort, and she was fearless, which was good. Mm-hmm. She's like, "Hey, my affidavit that I gave you, I signed on a dotted line that says that if I'm lying, I'm going to jail. Did you sign anything?"
And the stunned face. How dare you talk to me like that? I am a representative. Shush. You got owned. You got.
I love that. I love that line from elected officials. Who are you to challenge me? Look here, prick. You work for me. Mm-hmm. I pay your salary. Right. I do pay your salary.
Yep.
You are in charge of the dollars I've entrusted you with because you were voted in. You are not a deity. You are not a lord. You are not a king. You are just a regular guy, just like me. You are nothing special. And you're a lying piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to stop. Well, look, the election thing it's a tough topic, right? I mean, we're running out of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is some argument to say off of that, and there's the hero. She's my hero.
Oh, she's the hero. Forward. She's the hero we needed.
That's right. I don't think, to be honest, it's there's that we can blow through those dates. Those dates are not safe harbor. The only one date in the Constitution is
January 20th.
is the certification, for the Electoral College.
Yes, that's December
And
17th.
an inauguration, that thing, which they're already talking that they first wanted President Trump to be there and so they can beat him down, and then he's been conquered, which I don't, this wasn't fair. And
if I were
there's
him,
nothing convinced. I wouldn't go.
If I weren't him, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go at all. I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Not coming.
Mm-hmm.
You people are horrible, and you've got Michael Flynn out there now.
Michael Flynn.
Michael
he
Flynn,
is
General Flynn. God,
did you catch the video? Did you catch the interview from Dan Bongino?
Yes, I did.
Holy cow! Let me tell you something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What an amazing man, and he's a general. Yes, sir. Right away, but he is. Would if you were under his command, I think I would have no problem whatever he said. I would jump and then go do it. If that mean getting, having to sacrifice myself, I probably would, because, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a great leader and a great man. And what happened to him was just absolutely horrible. So, look, it's just a mess. And yes, you're right. There's a couple of dates: a certification date and an inauguration date, and they both have to get accomplished. And we have to see what the end game here is going to have to be. I mean, it's just going to be it's all right. Whatever happens, both sides, everybody's going to be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
What form that piss takes, I don't know, and I'm not sure I want to know, but we're going to have to see. So, what else did we have that we wanted to rant about this evening while we're at it?
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to kind of think it out loud here. There's so much going on out there. The idea that the election, there's one thing I wanted to just keep in mind. We're not lawyers either, but the idea, if anyone ever says to you, there's no evidence. Well, here's a term I want you to throw back in everyone's face when they say to you, "There's no evidence." And this is what a legal term called outcome determinative. And this is from Dr. Steve Turley when I was I was watching as part of his insiders group. And the outcome determinative means that the number of votes that I just talked about earlier, there are enough outcomes that could have, swayed this election one way or the other to where this needs to be intervened with. And that's what's going to happen. Is that there's enough monkey business going on that there's going to be some major decisions coming down the pipeline.
We're going to have to see what's going to happen. See what's going to happen. And what I have to say is I am waiting for. I've said it before on the podcast. We're Americans, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're a little rough around the edges. The Euro trash over there, they don't really like us because we're uncultured and we're this, that, and the other thing. Look here, Euro trash. Who bailed your ass out of utter devastation time and time again? That would be us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Number one. Number two, why did we go to that? Because we're Americans. And we fought for our independence, and we won from the greatest power that the world had ever seen at the time. That would have been Great Britain, England. Let's see. We don't take any crap from anybody, and we like to fight. So everybody get up and fight. I want to see civil disobedience at an epic scale. This has turned from out of an abundance of caution, we're going to go ahead and do this for a couple of weeks, to You're going to blink your eyes. You're going to go through Christmas and New Year's. You're going to fly through January. You're going to turn around. It's going to be February before you know it. And people in this country and businesses will have been locked down, shut down, out of work, economy destroyed over some kind of hokey bullshit for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to keep getting the message, oh, you have to wear masks and we have to keep doing. Stop it.
It's time. It's time to stand up. It's enough. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. And people in this country are so brainwashed and so scared. When did Americans become so scared?
Because they have been pre-programmed to do so.
You have a virus out there. Undeniably, it can be bad.
Can be.
Exactly. It is 0.05% fatal across the board. There are treatments. There is a vaccine coming out in a week. Stop it. I'm still not taking the vaccine, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, in terms of the vaccine, and they don't want to give any credit to President Trump for making this happen. They're plagiarizing again, and I'm not just Biden. Democrats, everyone are saying that it was not Trump, President Trump that did this. It was them. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And people just need to hang in there just a little bit longer and wait for the decisions that need to be made. It's gonna get interesting. And people they're not waiting for. They're not there was an interaction between an Antifa group and some Patriots. They went to burn a flag, and then all of a sudden they said, "You're not burning this flag," and they went after them, and they stopped them from doing it, and they all ran away like a bunch of pansies. So,
let's just hope that just stabilizes. We don't want to see any of that,
right?
I don't want to see what the escalation is going to be, and it's going to escalate. I just don't want to see it. But hey, listen, look, it's there's a lot of despair out there right now, and people are really down in the dumps, and people are bored, and people are just they just had it, and people are stressed out. You can see it everywhere. People are walking around, and they're just like, enough. It's enough. The mental health situation in this country is not good. People are bored. People are just over it. And I for one, have completely lost my filter. I was out in public yesterday in a little town, walking around. It's kind of a cute little downtown area. The shops are kind of open and people are trying their best. And I refuse to wear a mask in public, outside. Outside, I will not wear.
Yeah, why do you need it outside? Why? What's the point of wearing one outside? It's there's too much wind. You're not close enough to get enough of a viral load. It's just
insane. It's stupid.
I agree with you. I had to take it off. It's
stupid. And I had a woman come up to me, an older woman, and she started screaming at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, really? And normally I would just kind of walk away. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't walk away. Let's just say it wasn't one of my finer moments.
Well, how many times can you get pushed before you succumb? And I've known you for a long time, Alpha. You're not going to do that.
Never. No. I can only be pushed so far. And that's the thing. How far are you going to be able to push people? And I think this has been an exercise in to see just how far they can push people. Mm-hmm. And from what I see, they can push people really far.
Mm-hmm.
Enough. Stop it. You're going to get a reaction that you're not going to be ready for. And I'm just saying it's going to be ugly. So, on that note, I think we should just move topics. It's just really bad.
Yeah. Everyone out there, just watch your six. Make sure you're going to, be safe. If you're in a situation, don't get into the middle of it if you can, but defend yourself if you have to. And when this I know when the vote stuff starts happening, hopefully the Democrats will shut up and take the medicine that they need to take, which is they lied and they got caught. That's my hope.
I really hope so. I really hope that happens. So we're going to have to see what happens there. So you know what? Listen, we're kind of off the cuffing this tonight, ladies and gentlemen out there in the audience. We really appreciate your patience with us and spending the time that you're spending with us. It's been a long week. It's just been a long week. It's been a long year. 2020 can just totally kiss my ass.
I will say, when it comes to the holidays, it really doesn't feel like the holidays. It's it seems like another day, another routine, nothing to look forward to. It's getting pretty melancholy, and and it's not going to get any better. If people will say, well, just let if Trump would just give in and go away, everything would be great. I say, no, it won't be. It's never going back to normal. They got us where they want us, and they're right underneath their thumbs. It's not getting any better. So right now we need to make it better. We need to determine where we're going to be, where we're going, and stand up for what we believe in. And that's what a fair election, one that counts. My vote needs to count, and your vote needs to count. So we just need a little bit more time for everything to fall into place, and it'll all work out in the end.
Let's hope so. I mean, I think everybody's had about as much as they can take. Winter's coming, and some people around the country have gotten a real dose of it. Winter can be tough enough in a lot of areas. People have been locked up for long enough, and winter comes around, and everybody gets inside. No wonder why the numbers are spiking. Everybody's inside.
Although the test
all
is
the
probably
time.
wrong.
Well, the test is probably wrong. But
yeah.
But you understand what I'm getting at. I mean,
I know.
Seasonal affective depression is starting to really kick in with people. It's tough. It's bad. Mm-hmm. It's just
bad. There is one of our listeners did complete her medical education course. It's not only that she finished; she was delayed. She overcame quite a hurdle while she was going through school. She was in a really bad accident, but sprang back, fought her way back, and finished up the program that she was to become a medical provider. I want to wish her and her family congratulations. It was amazing how she persevered. Grit and determination, Alpha, is something that I think we need to talk about too. What is grit and determination? I think it's the ability to, when the chips are down, when times are tough, you put your knuckles to the grindstone and you get the job done, and that's what she did. So congratulations to her.
Absolutely,
she listens to the show regularly, and so does her family.
So, absolutely! Hey, congratulations. Yeah, you were telling me a little bit something about that. We've discussed that situation in the past, and tip of the hat to you. That takes some real grit and determination. I know what you went through, and good for you. Good for you. It takes a strong person to bounce back from something like that. That's one of those good stories that's out there. It's just been a tough year. Was with a friend of mine today. You know who he is. Mm-hmm. We went to elementary school together, and he just happens to live down the way from me. We went out. We spent some time together today. His father passed. Did not know his father terribly well. His dad was an academic guy, worked for the university in our town, a big university, and he was pretty much locked up with his books for the most part. It hit him hard. It's tough. It's been a bad year for a lot of people, and it's not getting any easier. So you know what? We got to start looking out for each other and be the good people that we all are. Generally speaking, people are good. Look out for your neighbors. Be as helpful as you can where you can be, and look for those good stories out there too. That can really help.
And as the holidays come up, and we're going to be, you got to have something to look forward to that's positive, and kind of get back to our roots also. And we all have that grit and determination to make it through this difficult time. And in terms of not quitting, we're not quitters. Americans are not quitters.
You can't quit. There is no quit. We have to keep moving forward. Look out for your neighbors. If you see somebody that's struggling, do your best to try to reach out and help to the best of your ability. You know, you got to be that good person. You got to be you have to be the change you want to see. You know, whatever that means to you, go do it. Right.
Correct.
So, hey, listen, everybody out there in podcast land and YouTube land and Rumble land and Parler land, thank you very, very much for spending the time with us. You know, now's a tough time of year for a lot of people. I would highly encourage you, if you have the means or the ability to make a donation to a food shelf, please do it. There's an awful lot of people out there that are hurting right now, and they could just use it. If you notice one of your neighbors having a tough time struggling, do what you can do to help them out, because, you know, everything is local. You got to take care of those that are around you. It's a tough time of year. It's getting cold outside, and you're hearing a lot of stories of evictions and foreclosures, and a lot of people are really going to be struggling this winter. It's going to be a tough time. So do your best to try to look out, and also look out for yourselves. Do something nice for yourself. Go out and get some exercise. Take a mental health day. You know, if you find yourself struggling, find somebody to talk to and try to work that out. And you know, also keep a lot of situational awareness as we get further into this catastrophe that's been caused. I am deeply afraid that we're going to see some problems. So, you know, look, everybody out there, keep your head on a swivel, look around, be prepared. I would, you know, just do what you have to do to keep yourself safe. And on that note, hey, you can catch us on your favorite podcast outlet, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. What are they calling it today?
Apple Podcasts. Yeah.
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean. We're out there. We're on Audible. I got it right this time. Audible.
Yep.
Audible. Shout out to Audible. Support your favorite author that's out there doing stuff. There's some really good. Audible's a great way to spend some time too. You know, listen. You know, Amazon's the great big giant beast that's out there, but you know what? They do provide some pretty good services, and there's some really good Audible originals out this month. Take a peek at those. It's a great way to spend some time, curl up with a book and some headphones, and just kind of put your mind at ease. Escape into something else. And
by the way, we want to also invite you to email us at info@signal50podcast.com. That's I'm sorry, it's info@signal50. It's been a long week. info@signal50.com. Sorry. info@signal50.com.
We're all human beings. Yep. Hey, listen, I would like to thank you for listening. Again, thank you for your time. Keep an eye on the news. Don't lose hope. Keep an eye out for people around you. Keep your head on a swivel. And I'd like to thank our soldiers, sailors, and airmen for protecting us, especially in this holiday time. It's a tough time of year for those guys, too. A lot of we speak from personal experience when we can tell you that some of the worst personal situations happen this time of year. And your first responders, police and fire and EMS people, they're not insulated from it. They get to see it firsthand every day, and don't think it doesn't affect people. It does. So you never know the war that they may be fighting. So give them the support that they need. You know, buy them a cup of coffee. Tell them you care. It really does. It does mean a lot. It does mean a lot, and it helps. You know, so we'd like to thank our soldiers, sailors, and airmen for protecting us 24/7, 365, our firemen, police, and first responders of all sorts. Keep the faith out there. Be safe. Tough time of year. And if you haven't changed the batteries in your smoke detectors, damn it, go do that. It's that time of year. Get your chimneys inspected.
Yep.
Do that. Hate to be a preacher, but I'm going to preach. So you don't need that hassle. You don't need that drama in your life. So everybody out there in radio land, thank you very, very much for listening to us. Have the best possible week you can under the circumstances we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's going to get better. Just hang in there.
So. All right, hang in there, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. Happy
See
holidays.
you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.